Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Jer with another episode of Blue Mafia. BLEUMAFIA.com. Check it out. It's the Bills blog. Bills lovers everywhere united. It started it back in the Tyrod era, Rex Ryan era. We advanced through. We've made it. Josh Allen is signed. It's official. 150 guaranteed. There's a video up on Blue Mafia, most recent post. Jeff Main, colleague of the show, colleague of the pod, sent me a video from The Ringer. Does a really good job of explaining NFL contracts, how they work. So check that out. It's about 15 minutes long. So check that out. It's really interesting. But today we're just going to do a little bit of Bills news, break down the Bills skills positions, preview our season a little bit, break it down into sort of 4 quarters, what I'm looking forward at. And then we're going to rank our skill guys out of 100. And then throughout the year, we'll sort of break down some of the opponent's skill positions and defense, quarterback, coaching. But we'll rank them out of 100. This is just sort of the preseason rankings. These can be subject to change. But, we'll break down the Bills' skills. And then we're going to go through the NFL in the second part of the pod today. We're going to just do a little bit of NFL fantasy, kind of look around the league, break down the PEAK system, go back, check out episode 1 and 2, and also go back to the trying times where I broke down some of the rookies. But peak performance entertainers, artists, Kinship. So we're going to look at sort of 12 players, 12 stories there that I'm going to look forward to this season around the NFL. So thanks for listening, guys. It's Blue Mafia. Let's get into it. So, the Bills opened up with the blue and white, red and blue, whatever. The scrimmage, a lot of fans showed out. Once again, I was not in attendance, but it looked like a beautiful day to be at the stadium. As always, Josh came out in the red with the white pants. It looked awesome. I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about that, but I agree. It's funny. Oh, shout out. Buffalo Bills land. Visor Josh Allen, Ringer tee here. I got 2 of them. I got a gray one behind me. They made them through T Public. Pretty cool little idea, that T Public. Check it out. You can pretty much put whatever design you want on there, and then they'll make it if you get enough orders. But T Public and also Buffalo Bills land Instagram. Thank you. Awesome shirt. Gonna keep it forever. Be worth money someday, and maybe in the future it'll get destroyed by some tie-dyer and then turn into a vintage piece. So, what are we looking at today? We're looking at the skills positions. We've talked about the rookies on the pod here. Well, in the Reg and Zoo podcast network, on the Trying Times, talked a little bit about rookies. We talked about the quarterback groupings divisionally. We talked about defenses all over the league. Today, in part 2, we're going to be talking about NFL peak performers. But in part 1, we're going to do the Bills' skills. The Bills' skills positions. So we're going to break them down. We're going to just preview them. I'm not going to really be giving you any information that you don't probably already know, but I like to just take a look, break it down, give you my thoughts, give you my feels, let you know how I feel about us and what we're looking at. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the entire season in a sort of overall way. But let's look at first the tight end position. Dawson Knox, are we going to show up to play this year? We know he is a thoroughbred athlete. We know he's a handsome player. But can he produce game in and game out? Let's see. But I also am looking forward to seeing Jacob Hollister, because Hollister, Allen played together in college. They have to have some form of chemistry. They have to have some form of dynamic on the field if they played together. So you like to have guys out there that you can trust when the ish hits the fan, and not that we want to see Allen hitting the fan a whole lot this year. We want to see him throwing on time, throwing, accurately. But as we know, sometimes things break down, and he's great when it breaks down. So we'll see what Hollister does on some of those third and medium plays. Maybe him and Knox are in on a play action, things like that. So we'll see how that goes. And the wide receivers, as we know, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, unfortunate to see him already hampering an injury. You hope to see him on the field a lot this year, not on the sidelines a lot this year. Hopefully he's not damaged goods, but we'll get him for a few games no matter what. Jake Kummerow making a lot of splash plays allegedly in practice. A lot of people talking, a lot of people asking, is Kummerow the real deal? I mean, I told my buddy, if Aaron Rodgers was upset about losing him, then what does that tell you? He obviously thought he was a factor, and he obviously thought that he was someone who mattered. I thought the fact that the Bills got rid of him so quickly last year was a little bit odd after he immediately come in and produced. We all know he caught that snipe out in Denver on the seam. So we'll see how he does. But two other guys I think we should be keeping our eye on. Tanner Gentry, another guy, played with Josh Allen. It was his guy in college for the Cowboys of Wyoming. You got to trust that he's going to play a factor at some point in the season. Could he be a good Michael Beasley? A good Cole Beasley substitute in case of emergency? Can he do at least a little bit of what Cole Beasley does in big situations? He's got trust with Allen, so who knows? But another guy I'm looking forward to getting to see play, Isaiah Hodgins, Oregon State, I believe. Big size guy, big possession guy. Very similar body type as Gabe Davis. Not exactly, I don't think they're the exact type of same athlete, but I think that they could produce at a similar level and do some of the similar things in the slots and the third downs and the seams and the one-on-ones that Josh likes to take when he's got. Isaiah Hodgins, let's keep an eye on him. I think he's going to produce, but it remains to be seen how the Bills use Isaiah McKenzie, but I think it would be silly not to keep him in a wide receiver slot, running back, kind of slot back role. Just get him the ball like 2, 3, maybe 4 times a game. He makes something happen. And then we'll look at the running backs. Not a whole lot in the offseason. Some people probably thought we might take another one in the draft. I'm not disappointed that we didn't. I'm also not disappointed in Devin Singletary or Zach Moss at this point. I think that they've done a whole lot to cement themselves as, professional players. I think that they've learned since they started in the league. They've both progressed, and I expect them to progress greatly this year. I think both of them have something to prove. I think both of them had the rug kind of ripped out from underneath them, and nobody really talked about how much of a difference it was to have those guys need to sit out and or sit down when, Singletary's sort of emotionally broken in that huge drop, and Moss with the broken leg. But what do I expect from them this year? I expect Moss to run even harder than we've seen. I hope that he sort of develops another layer to his game, some more hands, some more catches. Both need to continue to be good blockers and be able to understand pass blocking, picking up blitzes, because they're going to bring it, try and get to Allen, kill the QB, kill the game. Singletary, he looks like he's cut some mass. Mac from Always Sunny looks like he literally cut down mass. He looks very good. I'm sure that's going to help him perform. But he ran hard. He ran hard last year, and it's sort of like they both need to be a little bit more like the other. Moss could be a little bit lighter, a little bit faster. Singletary could maybe be a little bit stronger, but you get a little thick. He drops that pass. Hopefully he comes in nice and light. We need him to play almost like a Travis Etienne style, I think. Let him run some routes, get some one-on-ones with some linebackers. Speed and space, baby. So, out of 100 right now. Oh, and Matt Breida. Let's see what he's got. He's not going to get a whole lot of heavy opportunities, but he's a nice guy that I think can tote the load in some of the games where we might be in control or we need someone to finish out the game. I think he can have a couple big games where maybe we're blowing people out or maybe it's an inferior opponent and we need to just pound the rock. I think he can tote the load a couple games, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. So right now, I have the running backs at around a 79 out of 100, and that's just based on let's see it. Let's see what we got. It's maybe a little bit low, but I want to see what they got. I think they have room to grow there. Wide receivers, with all the talent we have, I have us at around an 86 out of 100. Just a lot of talent all around the board, a lot of different types of receivers, but a lot of similar types that can play different roles in the offense and be interchangeable. So I like our chances there versus most teams. Tight end, I have around an 82 out of 100, just based on, I think Hollister brings us up based on the chemistry with Allen. Potential there. But I don't know what I don't know. I think that he did decently. I watched him have a couple of decent games for the Seahawks, and I think he's got some game in him. And then quarterback, 91 out of 100 there. Don't want to see QB go down, but we do have an okay backup. Unfortunately, I hope I never have to see, knock on wood, Mitch play in a real big game. Just maybe some mop-up duty. All right. So we're going to take a real quick break, and we're going to come back and just break down the season, 4 quarters of the season, what I think the Bills' skill positions are going to need to do to impact to get through and get us to a Super Bowl. So we'll be right back. So if we're looking at 4 quarters of the Buffalo Bills season, first quarter, we have Steelers, Dolphins, Washington, Texans. I'm looking at that as the swag section of the schedule. I'll explain. Second quarter of the season, Chiefs, Titans, Dolphins, Jags. That's our time to shine. It's Part 3, third quarter, the grit and toughness section of the season. Jets, Saints, Colts, Pats, Bucks. And then the fourth, the survive section of the schedule. Pats, Panthers, Falcons, Jets. Now, what am I talking here? The skill positions are going to need to show out all games of the year. They need to improve. We can't rely on 17 to win us every game. We have to sort of choke out a few of these teams and win in a dominant fashion. But that first chunk of the season, Steelers, Dolphins, at Miami, Texans, which could be a Tyrod Texans and Fitzpatrick for the Washington football team. We're going to need to swag out in those first 4 games. All the skilled positions are going to need to be in rhythm, looking good. We got good weather those first 4 weeks. We have to look good. We have to swag out, and we have to impress the league. That next chunk, the next quarter of the season, at Chiefs, at Titans. This is where it's the time to shine. This is where we need these guys to produce. We can't have 17 solely being responsible for winning these games, because not only at Chiefs, at Titans, then a bye, but then the Dolphins again. Flores is going to have the defense prepared, and then the Jags, which is going to be sort of a strange slurve ball for anybody this year, because they don't have a lot of film on them, and they have a lot of talent. So that's the time to shine right there. That's going to be when the skill positions on offense and the rest of the Bills are going to need to prove if they belong. That's when we'll know. And then if they can get through that chunk and still look great, this next chunk is where I say grit and toughness, because it's the part of the year where the weather starts to get a little shitty. People start to get hurt. You're going to have to get through this part of the year if you want to have a high seed and if you really want to win a Super Bowl. We got the Jets, Saints. The Colts, then the Saints, Pats, Bucks. And we are at Tampa and at Tampa Bay. So at the Jets, at the Saints, Jameis, Sean Payton. Got to think that Carson's back for the Colts by then, you think. Or maybe it's Phil Rivers by then. Who knows? Or maybe it's Carson Wentz. Or maybe it's Nick Foles. Who knows going to play quarterback? But the Colts are going to be tough. And the Jets are going to fight. They've got the new coach. They're going to have an interesting... even though we did mess them up when he was the coach for 49ers. Robert Saleh, that is. But that's going to be the part of the season where we really need to get through it. And then capping it off with back-to-back Belichick and Tampa Bay. That's where we're going to find out. And then the fourth quarter of the season, hopefully we're in a position where maybe Mitch is taking some snaps and we don't need anybody to really be playing in these last 4 games, but we're going to have to survive. And that is the Panthers, Pets again, who hopefully are irrelevant, but they could be good at the end of the year. Falcons and Jets again. And who knows, the Jets could be relevant. We don't know what Saleh is going to do with that, but that's going to have to be the survival part of the season. And the skill positions, bottom line, are going to have to turn it over a new leaf this year and show up for Josh Allen if we want to win a Super Bowl. So that's it for the Bills skills. Last part, we're going to come back. I'm just going to break down 12 skill positions around the NFL, high peak performers. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. Remember to go check out the new website at BLEUMAFIA.com. That's BLEU Mafia.com. Blue like the real cheese, blue cheese. Brought to you by Metamucil. Metamucil will change your life if you've got bad guts. So, what are we doing here? What are you doing here? I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening. We're doing the peak sports again. Peak performers, performance, entertainment, artistry, kinship. High performance skill positions. We're doing 3 of each. That's it. And then we got a couple sleepers here on the side. So this is for your fantasy. This is for your knowledge. But you're going to know most of these names. You should if you're a fan. But these are my guys. These are my peak performers. I got Derrick Henry because he is an absolute monster. He's the epitome of football. He is Leatherhead's old school halfback. He can tote the load. He can catch. He can block. I don't see him not being an MVP candidate this year because there's so many options on the outside. Matt Barkley signed there as a backup. Interesting. Hopefully he doesn't give him the secret sauce of the Bills. 2 on my performance list out of 3, Zeke Elliott. He looks very good. His body, he looks like he's cut down a lot of weight. He looks healthy. He looks like he's got a good look in his eyes. And obviously Dak Prescott is coming back, so he's going to have confidence knowing that the quarterback is there. And I just expect with, the weapons they have on the outside, I just expect Zeke Elliott. I've always liked him. He can be a little bit of a character. He's gotten into some party habits, but he looks like he's got it turned around and he looks fully engaged and healthy. And I think he's going to have a huge career year. And then third performance, I have Nick Chubb, old school guy. Once again, the old school halfback, the old school performer, the guy who's just going to show up and he's going to perform. You know he's going to perform. Doesn't do a whole lot of flashy stuff, but he breaks a lot of tackles and he makes a lot of stuff happen. And that's the kind of stuff that gets the crowd engaged. And they got a good thing going in Cleveland. Hate to say it. Entertainers of the peak of the NFL. I have DK Metcalf. What's more entertaining than DK Metcalf? Absolute monster, size-wise. Interesting hair, cool earrings, cool tats. Calvin Johnson-like performance on the field. Wants to be himself. Seems to have a great attitude. You saw him chase down Buda Baker. That shows all I need to see. Entertaining. And then I have CeeDee Lamb. We've seen a couple of one-handers in practice this year. I took him way too early in a lot of leagues last year, but he was doing amazing when Dak Prescott was the quarterback. And then when he turned his ankle around backwards, CeeDee had to play with Dalton and some Ben DiNucci guy off the street, and his production went backwards, but CeeDee Lamb, absolute artist, but an entertaining player on the field. And then I have Saquon. I think it's going to be really entertaining to see how he comes back after injury. It's unfortunate. He also tore his knee, but he is entertainment on the field and just a really great kid. So you hope that he can come back. You don't want to see him in sort of a Bo Jackson nightmare scenario. You want to see him keep entertaining for a good 10 to 12 years. And then over to the artists, the swaggy artists of swag. Stephon Diggs. I got to have him on the artists. He's an artist of a route runner. Just works off the field relentlessly in his craft, in his art of route running, art of speed, art of explosion. And he always looks good on the field. Clean. Swaggy. Tyreek, the Cheetah Hill. I don't think anybody's ever played like him. I don't think anybody's ever been as much of a, he looks like he's playing flag football with, gym class in the NFL. He makes NFL players look like they're just playing ultimate football in gym class. And he is a true artist of the game because no one's ever played the way that he does. Another one, truly unique, Alvin Kamara. He's explosive but under control. He is strong but smooth and swaggy on the field, but backs it up with a swaggy style of play, truly artistic. You saw the run last year versus the Packers where he just sort of tiptoed and waited for his blockers and then ping, slowly exploded and then almost did sort of like a Marshawn Lynch backwards fall into the end zone. But if you haven't watched Alvin Kamara play, please do. And once again, I've said it many times, I think Jameis post-LASIK, I like them this year, man. They're going to be tough. Kinship, the teammatehood of the team. A lot of wide receivers in Buffalo. How does that work out? How does Cole Beasley continue to behave himself? How does Stephon Diggs behave himself if maybe the ball starts going in the end zone to Gabe Davis a little bit too much, or maybe a little bit too much to Beasley, or maybe a little bit too much to Sanders? Will Diggs be able to maintain his positive kinship? What if we drop 3 games? What if Allen goes down for a couple? What if Mitch Trubisky has to play? Are these receivers going to band together and remain together for the entire 4 quarters of the season and every 4 quarters of every game? We'll have to wait and see. Also on the kinship, I have OBJ back for Cleveland. Him and Jarvis, as we know, little butt buddies. We just always see them bopping around together. You know they're great friends. I joke, but they literally are like 2 little boys. Like, they play around like 2 little kids, and it's honestly one of the coolest parts of the game is the friendships and the brotherhoods and the just raw family, unconditional love that you have with teammates. And it's just cool to see OBJ and Jarvis playing with a guy like Baker Mayfield, and they have that Kevin Stefanski as a coach. And man, it's cool to see guys and brotherhood and just leadership like those names I just mentioned, along with the rest of the Browns organization, turn that whole franchise around. So we'll see what they do this year. But OBJ and Jarvis, I've joked about them being like, hand holding little girls skipping on a jump rope, but it's cool to see those 2 guys get to play together, and hopefully OBJ comes back. He looks good. I saw him catching some passes and some footage in practice, some skill work, and he looks explosive. So watch out for them. And then another guy coming off an injury, not a skill guy, but with a couple new skill guys, Joe Burrow coming back from the ACL. And he has T. Higgins, who is a sort of a big skill guy, big tall receiver who I really like. But then we have Jamar Chase, who absolutely tore up the NCAA with Joe Burrow in college. So that they're going to come in with some immediate kinship, immediate chemistry, and who knows what they can do. That's a tough division, a lot of talent in that division, but I could see them beating the Steelers. I could see them beating the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens should have drafted someone like Jamar Chase. But a couple little sleepers, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Traquan Smith, I just think that he's a real talented player. He's really low on draft boards. I think he could be a star. Gabe Davis, another guy, they have him really low on draft boards, but he's obviously awesome, as Bills fans know. But I think he's going to catch a lot of touchdowns. I just think that Allen's really going to trust him. It might even lead to some drama. Hopefully not. DJ Chark, I've heard other pundits, not pundits, gurus, sort of talking about him already. So don't be surprised to see him creep up draft boards. But I really like him. I had him 2 years ago with Gardner Minshew, and he was awesome. Last year, weird year, not so much. But as we know, he's got sunshine playing quarterback, so he's going to catch some TDs, obviously. Big kid. He reminds me of like a Brandon Marshall or a Alshon Jeffrey. Kadarius Toney, I've talked about him back on the Trying Times rookie chunk. I think he could have a similar artist style of Tyreek Hill on the field. So keep an eye on Kadarius Toney. And then Chuba Hubbard, who is going to be backing up, I believe, McCaffrey on the Panthers. So keep an eye on Chuba Hubbard. Let me just make sure that's right. Deshaun Jackson, lastly, sleeper, could have one last year. Deshaun Jackson with the Rams. And that is Chuba Hubbard, who was a star in college, and he's backing up McCaffrey. And I think that Chuba Hubbard ends up being a big play, sort of a handcuff, but he could just start getting goal line carries to just as the Panthers are going to want to try and sustain Christian McCaffrey's career. But Deshaun Jackson on the Rams, look out, a couple big plays. And then N'Keal Harry, give the kid a shot, Pats. Give the kid a shot. I bet you he plays good this year, finally. And that's about it. I appreciate you guys listening. It's Blue Mafia. Keep an eye on the blog, BLEUMAFIA.com. Remember to subscribe on audio wherever you listen to your pods. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon. It's the Reg and the Zoo Podcast Network. Thanks for listening, guys. We're out. Love it.